Hello, everybody. A warm welcome to another edition of our Across Retail Talks. My name is Reinhard Wienewater. I'm the publisher of Across Magazine, and I'm very pleased that so many people across Europe are here today. The topic, I think, is a very, very special one. We will talk about PropTech in retail real estate. This is the fourth edition of our online talks, and I'm really happy that we could establish this format so good and we can attract so many visitors. A top-class discussion group is ready. Klaus Striebich will lead the discussion as an expert moderator, and I ask you, please take part in the discussion and ask questions. Use the chat function. Our plan is to have a 60-minute discussion and about 10 minutes for your questions. Yes, and in the next few days, we will send a summary and a video of the discussion via our newsletter. So that's it from my side at the beginning. I now hand over to Klaus Striebich. Klaus, the stage is yours now.
Thank you very much, and a warm welcome from my side as well. And it's nice to see that we have so much participants this time. PropTech is our discussion today. And first of all, I should, let's say, uncover if a PropTech discussion is ongoing, more or less often a techie or a nerd or a PropTech specialist sitting here. This time it's the total opposite. I'm absolutely a non-techie guy, but I try to figure out what PropTechs will lead us in the near future. So I would love to welcome our panelists today. So we have in a so-called alphabetical order, we have Mark Mangold from Via Fund. He will introduce himself later on. We have Markus Porvari from Hyperin from Finland. We have Philipp Seper, he's the CDO of ECE in Germany. We have Peter Thomstadt from Placewise Group, the CEO, and a little change in our group, which is Justin Cagwin. He's the Chief Commercial Officer from Conic because his boss, Ben Chesser, has to do another appointment. But I think with Justin, we have a fantastic alternative. Yes, PropTechs. I will start with a little introduction and then to introduce the topic a little bit. So maybe it's a little bit provocative, but PropTech is maybe like teenage sex, my dears. Everyone talks about it. Nobody really knows how to do it. Everyone thinks everyone else is doing it. So everyone claims they are doing it. You can use this phrase also for lots of other things, but I think it fits perfect to the discussion which is here. A second thing I found out, a very nice introduction these days because of the COVID-19 interruption of our industry. How could you engage your shoppers during COVID-19 crisis when we have these special effects? And it was a very good overview. And the first 8 from 10 commendations was a digital topic. Adapt and go digital, use social media, invest in pay-per-click and advertising, use email campaigns to keep customers in the know, grow your email database with competition, whatever it means, keep your website up to date, sounds somehow obvious, improve the online customer experience, introduce your retailers to digital marketing and extras, and then the last 2 are a little bit non-digital, engage an external marketing agency, don't know whether it's really needed, and offer a gift with purchase, which is a kind of, let's say, sales offer. The third thing I found out when I did my research about PropTechs is that the number of PropTechs is immersive increasing. I found an overview from 2016 where already 119 different PropTechs from different parts of the industry are offered. In September 20, last month, there were already 466 PropTechs offered on the market. Is there a certain kind of overview? Is there a thing that I can find out which fits perfect to us or me? And now they offer it on a monthly basis, how many new PropTechs are appearing on the market. This is maybe one of the questions we should try to find out. And my last thing is, what are the biggest challenges and for digitalization these days? And the biggest challenges for each and every company is somehow the missing staff resources or the qualification of the people, which is named by 67% of the people in that survey. The second biggest challenge is the bad data quality, for sure. Third one is an outdated system, maybe something for the techies. Fourth is data security topics, maybe an issue. And the fifth is the lack of knowledge of usage in their business model. And this is the main topic we have today. We have 5 fantastic panelists here in our discussion. And I would love to have them with a first statement, how they see what to do and how they see PropTech, and maybe we start with their statements. Mark, could you please introduce yourself a little bit and start with your statement? 60 seconds for you.
Sure. Warm welcome, everybody. Great to be on this panel. My name is Mark, and I'm responsible for CRM and digital at Via Outlets. Via Outlets is an owner-operator of 11 outlets across Europe, and we operate in 9 markets. My thesis is that PropTech will really enable retailers to become more customer-centric organizations, and will be the key driver to really have true multi-channel functionalities available.
Great, thanks for that. Let's follow up with Justin. Justin Cagwin from Koenig. Please introduce yourself and your statement, please. 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. Justin Cagwin, Chief Commercial Officer at Koenig. I've been with the business for about 7 years now. Koenig, in a nutshell, we've been providing fast-growing technology solutions to the property, real estate industry for coming on 10 years now. Our primary solutions are customer engagement and loyalty tools, which help to drive, I guess, the primary business value that we're driving for our mall operator clients is repeat visits for consumers and driving spend for both the retail client within our client as well as the mall operator themselves. Our product itself has been well received. We've recently established offices in Dubai and the United States. And one of our clients, which we're quite happy is on the line today, is Mark Mangold from Via Outlets. So thank you much for helping demonstrate effectively. We are as good as our clients. So we're a PropTech company, but we deliver solutions to put our clients in the forefront and be successful.
Thanks for that. We have Markus Porvari, CEO from Hyperin in here from Finland. Markus, your statement, please.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Markus Porvari. I'm the CEO and founder of Hyperin. So as discussed, our mission is to be the leading mall management platform connecting physical and digital retail real estate. That's something of a very important topic today, and naturally we help our shopping centers customers to prevail even in these challenging times, especially concentrating on the consumer digital journeys. And you know, previously it's been all about location in this very traditional industry, but now I think we're going to see a lot of more PropTech oriented discussion and panel discussions like this. So you know, Hyperin has been there at the beginning of the PropTech revolution already almost 2 decades ago when we started, and I think we believe that the PropTech revolution will change the industry, and that's why I'm very interested to join the panel discussion today. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much, Markus. We have Philip Seper from ECE. Philip, nice to see you again after a while.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. Yes, like I said, I'm Philip. I'm responsible at ECE for our digital strategy. ECE is one of the leading shopping center players, and in my role, it's really key to evaluate all the different PropTech companies and solutions. So I think that would lead to my statement that it's not so much the challenge to find out what's going on, to see new solutions and new providers. In my role, I think it's much more important to really evaluate the thousands of companies that call you every day, maybe not thousands, but hundreds, and to really focus on certain topics where you want to be a first mover, or which you consider as very important for your business. And on the other ones, you should definitely have them on the radar, let's say, but then maybe decide to become a second mover, which could be in certain areas fine as well.
Thank you so much. And last not least is Peter Thomstadt from Placewise. Peter.
Thank you. Yes, good to meet everyone. I'm the CEO of Placewise Group, which was previously known as Buscom Group in Europe. Placewise is the global market-leading provider of digital solutions for the shopping center industry. We currently have 1,050 shopping center clients across US, Europe, and Asia. We're 130 employees in our group. Our product scope ranges from data management, CRM marketing, tenant engagement. We also have operational tools and now more and more e-commerce solutions. And it's all bundled with our service layer, which we brand as performance management. All is evolving a lot from one quarter to the next, so exciting stuff. On average, our clients have a digital reach of 30% of their unique physical footfall, and individual clients have reached all the way up to 70%, which obviously is a huge game changer for those clients. And then that digital reach is leveraged to create sales, and individual tenants create more than 25% of their monthly revenue through these mall databases, and on the aggregated mall level, up to 5% of annual revenue. And we expect this number now to grow maybe 2 to 3x over the next 3 years, mainly driven by integration towards e-commerce solutions. As is a lot of introduction statement for background to the whole topic and discussion, I think there's a lot of industry-wide PropTech solutions up until now have been delivering cost efficiency gains, and maybe some element of new experiences or wow effects, which is great in itself. But I believe PropTech now versus the shop center industry specifically needs to focus more on generating revenue. PropTech needs to support the evolution of the shopping center business model and deliver increased leasing revenue through value-added offerings to the tenants. So solutions that drive tenant sales should probably be the priority for the next few years.
Thank you so much, Peter. Just to stay on the words, because I love the two things which you have mentioned, which is on the one hand, cost efficiency, I love to have it. And on the other side, which is much more important, driving sales revenues. Could you give us, let's say, one example for each, what you have done or what you could do from your point of view to do that as an operator or as a tenant? Not to mention the companies or the specifics, but could you give us 2 examples how it could gonna work?
Yeah, so from a revenue perspective, it's mainly been about driving consumers to malls to do incremental sales. So that's a lot about driving unique content in digital channels to trigger people to come more often to the mall and shop more. And obviously we need to track those conversions.
And how?
That's done by using our platform for first aggregating content from tenants, which is typically the source of content. So then we reach out to tenants, retailers to actually get the content. Then we distribute the marketing towards the database. And then that incremental contact with consumers generates referrals and inbounds to grow the database. And then this ends up being a transaction in the actual retail space. From a cost efficiency perspective, it's a lot about, let's say, reducing human interaction or human efforts to make all this happen. So then the technology obviously creates efficiency gains. So 2 people who used to do things in the past becomes 1 person and so on. And as you also commented, cost efficiency is great, and all industries need cost efficiency to maintain competitiveness. But end of day, what the industry really needs is growth of revenue in relation to, let's say, physical versus digital. And tenants want to see more value from the physical location, also from a shopping center perspective. And we strongly believe technology will be the enabler of that evolution, or the next phase of the evolution, rather.
One more question to follow, because it's interesting to listen. what kind of effort is needed, or could you give us a hint what is needed if you get in touch firstly with a non-tech operator like me? So it sounds like I need a perfect databases to start with this job. I think it's important to know where you should be with your, let's say, data collection.
Right. Very often, actually, when we engage, even in 2020 with new clients, the starting point might be more or less zero database. They typically might have an email list and so on, which we wouldn't define as a true sort of data profile on the consumer, but it's definitely a starting point. So initially, we can have clients that per definition have a zero digital reach, and then it's all about starting to getting those initial digital handshake with consumers, get them to opt in to some kind of offering which they find attractive. And very often that needs to be connected with some uniqueness related to content, which is then you get something to opt in, which you wouldn't get if you don't opt in. That has to be the criteria. And then things will start scaling sort of step by step. And incremental scale up happens when you leverage all digital channels at the same time. And you also put a lot of effort into the content side, the quality of the content side. So okay. From a starting point, you don't really need anything. You just need to sign up with Placewise.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark, if I may ask you, and maybe Justin together, do you have the same view what Peter has explained at the moment, and how have you found Konig? And do you have the same targets maybe?
Justin, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll let you lead on that one. That'd be great.
Okay. How have we found Konig? I think Konig found us. No, Konig has worked together with a previous investor of ours, and then it was more or less of a natural evolution, I would say. But I let Justin add to that. Yeah, I would say we have more or less the same view as Peter. I would just like to add a couple points around that. I think where PropTech can really help is also definitely on this whole marketing piece, as Peter was describing it. And there we probably differentiate 3 stages. One is prior to the visit. So how can we indeed improve the marketing funnel? How can we become much better in, what channel drives what quality of guests to our center? Even more so, how can we become better in attracting first-timers come to our center? And the other piece I think we are often forgetting, or the other 2 pieces, is not only, let's not stop once they are there, but then also I think the big opportunity starts while they're in the center. So how can we identify, who's actually in our centers, what's his or her interest, and how can we, via targeted communication, specialized offers, increase her dwell time, make her spend more in an individual store or visit another store, invite her to visit one of the restaurants again, to make her stay longer. But then also the whole post-purchase piece, I think, is often also not forgotten, but doesn't get enough attention there. And I think PropTech can really help to trigger this more conversational commerce going forward, where it's all about building a relationship with the guests, which we're all familiar to when we look at e-com, right? We're used to all of these very targeted communication when we come to Amazon, and recommendations and all of that. But I think now with PropTech, we are getting much closer in really having the same opportunities there.
Right. Justin, what would you like to add?
Yeah, so I think it's quite interesting. We, depending on the client and where they are on what we call an innovation curve, we'll find clients who are very much far along, or we might have helped along, such as via outlets, who are quite advanced in their digital strategy. Our partnership with them is quite interesting because we're at a partnership level now where they're involved in quarterly sessions with our team, and where they have a potential steer in the direction of where our product goes. So that's where the most sort of advanced partnership and how a PropTech can work in synergy with a mall funder, a mall operator. If we're looking at more holistically across that curve, I would say very early stage, similar to what Peter had mentioned, is understanding who your customer is. So building up that data asset from the beginning. We do find some mall operators who are absolutely at the beginning of that curve. They might be collecting data from a Wi-Fi system and then consolidating it all onto an Excel spreadsheet before sending off a newsletter through MailChimp as a not uncommon scenario that we come across, to much more sophisticated. I think what our role is to help expedite that curve. So get the industry as a total along and moving it up at a higher pace, which is really what's required in today's economic situation. The one positive for PropTech out of this is that that fire has been lit. A lot of mall operators of the past who maybe sat back and were planning on consumers coming to their doors, they're not. So that's either a reawakening for them that they need to engage with the digital strategy, or to start engaging how they talk with their customers. Or if they were on early stage, they're asking, how do we get there faster? So it's an interesting time and place to be in PropTech, I think. Okay,
fantastic. Thanks so much. Markus, you mentioned an international activity. I'm a little bit curious to hear whether there are some, let's say, global differences on the one hand or not. Is everything the same in the world? Does every customer behaves the same because digitalization is without any borders? Or are there some local specifics which you have found out in the past? What's your point of view on that?
Well, that's an excellent question, Klaus. I think we're seeing a lot of movement, especially in times like these in different regions. So in Europe, it's more cost conscious, as Peter mentioned, traditional outbound marketing. In Asia, the big data, analytics, consumer engagement, and gamification, everything new needs to be there if you want to attract the consumers. So you have to really compete on that. So if you may, I would also add to the previous discussion that the shopping mall offices are becoming more and more an entertainment producers. So they want to make the offering more lucrative for the modern day needs, and actually connecting this physical and digital journey and helping the tenant and the mall management to work together seamlessly in order to get more conversions. So the traditional kind of outbound marketing is always there, but now I think the importance of PropTech is visible to the market. So we need to be there as the industry will change. And especially in these post-COVID times, we're already seeing effects after the first wave. When the restrictions are lowered down, people want to have a more human customer experience, and not only digital, but they are more willing to go actually to the physical locations as well. So we need to be there to kind of tie both of these ends.
Thank you. If a new customer approaches you, Markus, and he requests the most important topic you can, or the most important part you can offer, what is the most requested part of your, let's say, offers they are looking for? Is it more conversation? Is it more gamification? Is it more, let's say, the organizational things? What is the one and only at the moment most requested topic in this PropTech discussion?
Well, that actually depends on what does the customer want to achieve. So it could be all of those topics or none of them at the same time. So we see a lot of customers out there actually collecting or retail real estate developers collecting big data, but they don't really have a continuity plan what to do with the big data. So let's say you want to add 20% of more footfall on your food courts, or that's a kind of a valid objective, and there's easy measurable KPIs, key performance indicators that you can actually implement in order to track that. So it's mostly a kind of a target and a strategy, what you want to achieve, and then we will give you the right best of breed tools or the technology how to achieve that.
Okay, so you try to figure out what they really need, hopefully, and
yes.
Not that they buy everything. Okay, fantastic. Philip, you're the last, not the least in the row, because I have a special question to you for sure. Because we know each other for sure, and most of the people know that. ECE is following a little bit a separate way or a different way in digitalization. First of all, I would love to know how you measure these hundreds of different PropTechs for your usage, because you're specialist in that, you mentioned it. And please give us a hint about the digital mall strategy, which is something very specific and unique and should be explained again, if you like. Philip.
Yes. So maybe to answer the first question, I think it's really important here to be completely honest. So let me just be clear on that. If we get all the different informations from different providers, contact us, and we've been around, I think all of us here in the panel also since years. And if you go to Marpic, for example, you will always see the same companies as like first movers, as for example, Koenig and Boostcom and all the players which are here. I think when I started my job, you know, I was really romantic and I thought, okay, everything that goes on my desk, let's have like a CRM system where we can have an evaluation of an innovation funnel and we give points to certain solutions. At the end, it's simply too much, you know, and my team and I, we certainly really thought more in topics, and we have topics like CRM, we have topics like e-commerce, etc. And on each topic, we prioritize which one is the one where we want to be a first mover and where do we take a certain look at the market, maybe try things out, but it's not priority number one. And I think this is easier for us than to be in this daily struggle of taking 200 calls and discuss different solutions. And on these topics, I really believe that for us, I cannot say if that's certainly true for the whole market, but for us with our around 200 shopping centers, it is really connecting the product data that we have in the centers with large marketplaces. And ECE is in a very lucky position because the family which owns us, the family Otto, is also the owner of the second largest online player in Germany, number 2 after Amazon. And so we have this e-commerce leader and this shopping center or like stationary retail leader, and both of them agreed to work together, and we founded a company together, a joint venture 1.5 years ago. And the idea is to collect the product data and their availability prices of all our retailers that we have in the centers, and direct this data into one data hub, and then give it to marketplaces, especially Otto, but also our own marketing channels like the app and the website, in order to get all those people that search online for products. And you all know that we do that, right? Before we buy something offline, maybe a television or whatever, we search online for different models. And even though we would like to buy it in a shop, we certainly arrive at Amazon or whatever, because it's the easiest way if we are once online, because it's a complete black box. If this television you're looking for might be in the shopping center 1 kilometer away from you. But if you know that, we certainly believe that a lot of people searching online for products will then buy in one of our centers if they get the information, if they know if this certain product is available and to what price in the center. And so our e-commerce strategy called Digital Mall is definitely number 1. Also in my daily business, which does not mean that we don't look at other areas as well. But a clear answer is collecting product information and connecting that to online marketplaces. That's our main strategy.
Thanks for this introduction. So I would love to translate it into an old-fashioned guy's view on that. So you're targeting directly shoppers' behavior, which is, I want to have it ideally now. So the most important part of everything what we are doing in this industry is make the shoppers happy, give them the product in hand, and let the money flow. So you try to organize whatever you're doing with that topic, that the people are very, very fastly happy, that they don't have to go to an alternative, means pure online, and you try to mix it up ideally so to make it easier. Fantastic.
Exactly. One thing I would like to add, Klaus, is definitely that it's not only coming from a point of view regarding the customer, what you just explained, but also the marketplaces. So Amazon, Otto, Zalando, all the big marketplaces are interested in this local available data, because either they want to send out products not from their warehouse, but from local stores, because it's much easier and much faster. Or if they don't have a certain product in their warehouse, if they know that it's available close to the customer and they give the information to the customer, that might also be not losing this customer, but to offering this information as well. So I think the customer, the retailer, and the marketplaces, they all really strive for the same, actually, which is omnichannel.
Okay, fantastic word, omnichannel. Have you already achieved first level or second? Oh, Marcus, excuse me.
Yeah, sorry. I think Philip is on the right track here, and we've been watching very closely the Digital Mall project at what EC is pursuing, and it's hard to mention this kind of phenomenon that we're talking about, hyperlocal closed environments such as shopping centers, in comparison to pure online environments where we have players and competition from companies like Amazon or Zalando. So there's a huge potential to offer precise products and services information, and that's how we started in the business. Hyperin, hence the name of the company, comes from kind of a hyperlocal search-based engine with can deliver suggested keyword searches and offer kind of same e-commerce experience, but on a physical location. So when we started, the market was not mature enough and the tenants didn't have enough accurate product or service databases to offer this information. But now, with how today's retail is operating, it's very easy to actually offer this information, similar to ECE digital malls. So I think, enriching this profile targeted advertisement opportunities and community information that we are receiving from customers when they are browsing around and using wayfinding services indoor on the physical level or on the web. We have to remember that nowadays, almost everywhere, roughly over 70% from your consumers' traffic is coming from the web anyway. So you can really kind of combine this experience with the physical level right now. So I think this will be the most important thing to get the real estate industry back to competition against the e-commerce industry.
Yeah. Fantastic. Let's come back to the question or the statement that it is easy for the retailers to deliver the data to make it happen. There's already a question appearing from the audience. I would love to raise it, and it's directed to Mark and Philip. I read it for you. How would you scout and stay informed about the latest PropTechs and promising solutions? Question one. Second question is, what is the latest innovation or technology or company that impressed you and you think, no advertising please, and you think will matter in the next 12 months? Mark, would you love to start with an answer?
Sure, thanks. Really two good questions. First one is all about scouting and staying informed, right? So I would say it's quite a traditional mix of different things, reading a lot, going to conferences, obviously a bit harder these days. That's why we should all visit more of these webinars, and using your network, to be informed what's going on there, looking at your competitors, direct competition, indirect competition. So I would say it's no rocket science, really. Clearly there's an information overload, especially in that sector. So it's probably more the assessment and evaluation behind that is challenging. That's how I also understood Philip. When it comes to the second piece, was exciting new technology and innovations.
That impressed you?
Yeah. also there's lots out there. There's lots out there. I mean, for instance, I think it's quite amazing what's possible today with visual search. So not text-based, but really visual search, where you can, you know, take a picture of a product and then it shows you, you know, a reference product somewhere. I think also for physical retail, this creates tremendous opportunities. Another one that comes up in my mind is all around augmented reality. I think that's huge opportunities for physical retailers. So many of the colleagues already spoke about experience in the center, how this is a key differentiator and for physical retail. And there I would say, you know, that definitely think about an virtual Easter egg hunt you could do in your center, or why do all shopping windows need to look the same if we know, you know, who you are as a guest. So if you use your iPhone camera, we can show you different products in that shopping window than others. And the third one I would like to mention is probably not so sexy at the first sight, but from a business impact, I'm really, we are tapping into this now is, as I said in the beginning, I think PropTech will really help to make the marketing funnel a lot more effective and improve the ROI on marketing. And there I really see that the mobile devices will drive a tremendous impact, where we now are in a situation, but linked to what Philip was talking about. We know what product is available in our centers. We can, you know, help the individual stores to upload dedicated offers anywhere on the web. They download a code, or the guest then downloads this code onto their wallet on their phone and can go to the store and get their special offer there. Why is this exciting me? Because I think this is how we can really connect digital reach with physical retail in a measurable way. So as I said, in the first moment, maybe doesn't sound that sexy, but from a commercial perspective, I'm really excited about that.
Good. An addition from Philip?
I would definitely agree with you, Mark. The same regarding the evaluation topic, like Mark said, it's a complete overload, which is a positive thing at the beginning. Might also be different between the companies. I mean, if you're really large, like maybe ECE, which is not a good or a bad thing, but I think then you're already, it's very sure that the PropTechs will come to you and ask you to do a pilot at whatever. If you really have only 2 or 3 properties, might be different in this case. So I would definitely search the market. I think the track record is really interesting. That's a little bit what I meant at the beginning, Klaus, with the topic second mover. So if you don't want to be a first mover, and I think that's 99% of the case, it's completely okay, then why not show, or let the PropTech companies show what they have done with other companies, and then see if you can really adapt it one-to-one. Why do you really try it out? I guess all of my colleagues that are sitting here, Marcus, Peter, and Justin, when you started the technology in the company, comparing that until now, you might have done a lot of mistakes, right? So you're learning, you're improving your product. So which each day it gets more professional and better. So maybe waiting and taking a look what they have done at with other providers is not always a bad thing. And really short on the second question, what's exciting? It's a very old topic, but it's not solved yet, in my opinion, is the customer tracking inside of the center. So to understand, I think, Klaus, we have worked on that together, tried things out. To my knowledge and in my opinion, after trying out a lot of things, there's not a perfect solution right now, knowing what the customers are doing inside of the building, right? How many people that shop at H&M also use the food court? How many people that go to the food court in the lunchtime do also buy something afterwards? So getting to know this information would be so exciting for me. It's an old topic. I'm still excited and I haven't found the perfect solution yet.
Thanks for that. And I have to add, because that it was indeed my biggest request to the digital organization, that heat mapping, I still have this specific word in my mind, is very, very important, and one of the only things that could drive really revenues and sales on a specific site. Thanks for that. We have some other questions meanwhile, and the next one is more directed. Justin, you have something to add?
I just had a quick one. I just found it's quite interesting and I believe helpful in our industry. The power of referrals. So I find I'm dealing with clients from the Middle East through to America, and the network that exists within our industry where a client will reach out. So a chief digital officer from one company completely disparate from the other side of the world, but there appears to be a network there, which is great for businesses or PropTech businesses that have a long-standing solution that's working. But it's also, it must be quite nice to work in that you have friends and colleagues that you can share best practices across the globe. On Philip's side right there, in terms of location-based marketing, that is, I would say, one of the most exciting areas that's happening right now during this sort of I wouldn't say lockdown period, but while our tech team had a bit of time to do some inward thinking and get creative with their code, came along with a solution which is much more around proximity marketing. So it's about that real-time communication to customers when they exhibit behaviors. So through breaking geofences, either to give a recognition to the consumer or just trigger that communication. What we were already seeing from the results, so the measurement of this is that the open rates or the engagement levels are close to double what we would see normally, and that's due to the context. So the fact that they are physically walking through a specific area and they're receiving content that's relevant to them right there and then is what seems to be that's what gets me sort of excited at the moment.
Thanks, Justin. There's a question maybe that fits ideally to Marcus, something to add?
Yeah, just a quick brief on the previous topic still and answer to the question from the audience. And I have to come Justin and Philip here that also there's not a kind of competition in between the PropTechs as most of the companies are really strong focus on certain areas, but it doesn't mean you have to find one solution from one provider. We can do a lot of cooperation like we have, for example, done with the Peter from Boostcom. So in a way, I think the openness is open platform is the new thing for PropTechs as well. So you need to have those APIs and integration possibilities to integrate with your existing legacy systems if you have a traditional retail real estate developer, and also take advantage of the third-party development here. So I think there's enough market to share with all of us here.
So absolutely. Maybe the next question fits to Peter, if you allow. The question comes from a retail specialist. How could a more traditional high street retailer who is faced with a mix of expansion and closures put PropTech to the best use? Understood?
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah. I mean, our focus is very typical on the shopping center side, but when it comes from a technology standpoint, the high street sort of benefits from the similar approaches. If you're an individual retailer, you have some advantages because then you obviously have control over your point of sales and all the data sources. But I think sort of city center community, sort of bundling retailers together, which is more in the sort of aspects of a shopping center kind of business, is helpful. So either you have to leverage your online position as a standalone retailer to the maximum, or you can team up and bundle, which is typically now in the prospects of a marketplace perspective. So I think when Philip mentioned the sort of marketplace approach for digital mall and ECE, very often the focus is then towards the tenant mix or the products that are in the physical mall. But that could very easily be expanded to be an offering for high street stores in the local region. So it's kind of a community, a broader marketplace where all parties benefit in the same, let's say, perspective. So I think it's along those lines, and just in general to an earlier question of what's the really driver right now. And I think all our conversations right now are dominated by physical location versus e-commerce, and typically then from a shopping center perspective, how do we really make it work, and how does it really scale from shopping center to tenant side, beyond being an aggregator of a selection of products with some kind of affiliate business model. So those strategic discussions have just totally sort of spiked during COVID, because obviously it becomes a necessity rather than a nice to have kind of discussion. So very interesting.
Thanks very much. Let's keep on answering the questions from the audience, and I would love to push our audience to raise more questions. So next one is again, maybe with a short answer to Mark and Philip again. The question is, what are the ways you collect shopper data opt-ins at your centers, and are you always looking for more ways to do this? If you could answer it very shortly, would be very nice, Mark.
I think actually Philip now should go first, but happy to pick this up. To keep it short, yes, we're always looking for ways to get a much better understanding of our guests. How we're doing it today is mainly through our loyalty scheme that we run with Conique called Fashion Club, and there we basically see who's in the center, where are they shopping, how much they are spending. But definitely, you know, key will really be to get a much better understanding of your guests going forward. So we're always open and looking for additional ways, for sure.
Okay.
Same for us. I think Mark is definitely with his outlets, like let's say in this curve, more proceeded faster, I think, than we as classical shopping centers, inner city shopping centers at ECE. Mark mentioned the different channels, and I really think that CRM is going to be more important, even though I see a lot of challenges, not having the transaction at the end with the customer, having to work together, retail owner and retailers and tenants who have to give the content, the discount at the end. I think that's very challenging, but an interesting field.
If I can just add to that, because I think there's one point I really want to highlight, is we also need to always consider the staff in the stores, right? I think it's always great to have these great concepts and everything out there, but at the end it needs to be the staff that brings it to life towards the guests, towards the end consumer. Therefore, it needs to be intuitive, it needs to be slim and easy for them to use, and they really need to understand the benefit for themselves. That's the one point I wanted to add.
Thanks for that. I have a question to all of you. We talked about a lot of topics and possibilities, but when do we really talk about ROI from PropTechs? When do we see hard numbers from an investment, also internal investments, and what is the outcome? That is what I'm missing all the time in some discussions. So if I'm investing in data collection, in heat mapping, in social advertising, what is there measuring systems or the possibility to have a clear calculation for our finance colleagues that they see this investment is a fantastic one, or is it just, let's say, R&D, which is a separate budget? Your point of view, who would love to start?
I'd love to start on that topic.
Marcus.
Oh. Well, sorry, Peter. I can just start away. I promise to be brief. So, well, it's very easy to calculate the return on investment, and something we call as a learning shopping center when we start with our customers. So we need to form a baseline first, and depending on how efficiently is the customer working right now, do they operate with several different omni-channel or multi-channel solutions that don't really speak with each other, and how actively the tenants are involved. Just like Mark mentioned, that you need to have a full transparency, and you have to have the motivation and incentive for tenants to involve of participating in the campaigns, and also analyzing the traction and analyzing at the commercial management level the tenant mix. So you can have different tools, and you can have different measurable return on investments. Let's say, for example, that we used to have a customer that was running in the Central Europe, major partly in different countries, shopping mall websites, just like a traditional thing that you need to have for your outbound marketing. So or in a way an inbound marketing. But these real estates were spending a lot of different resources and money for each country in different marketing agency, building just a simple website. Instead, they could be offered as a centrally managed tools, and even the bigger retailers there, just to give you an example, like Zara or H&M can have a centralized person in their main offices, headquarters, handling the campaign centrally between different countries and do some cross-country marketing. So, this phenomenon with PropTech and solutions can offer a various possibility of taking the return on investment. It also can be measurable depending what you want to do.
Okay, so you can explain it to the chief controlling officer of a company.
Yes, it's very easy depending whether we are talking about the marketing budgets or okay, talking about in the CIO's office about the IT budgets. It can be measured very easily.
Okay, Peter, you had also something to add?
Yeah, I think a lot of the kind of PropTech topics we're discussing here is very often financed through marketing budgets, and in the marketing budget perspective, there isn't always the same culture to do ROI calculations as in other parts of business. So I think from a PropTech perspective, there should always be a business case approach to every kind of project. So what are the prospects? What are the sort of expectations on consumer adoption and so on? And nothing should really be launched before those kind of discussions have been had. Obviously, from a cost efficiency gain, it's easier to calculate the ROI effects on revenue generation. If you're a shopping center, you will very often depend on data from your tenants, from the retailers, to support the data set to actually measure effects. And sometimes they are available, sometimes not. And if not available, there has to be a fallback on fair estimates on what's the value of a transaction, what's the average transaction value, and so on. But I think we're positively getting closer and closer to the actual transaction data from, let's say, an industry perspective, with support of open banking and different things. But in total, there are still some gaps, and gaps need to be filled by either, let's say, estimates that all parties agree to, or by third-party data that supplements. And I think it's a positive involvement there for sure.
Thank you. Justin, your point of view?
Yeah, I think it's quite necessary to measure everything. So specifically from a marketing perspective. So depending on where the client is, or where the mall operator is on that innovation curve that we'd refer to, from very early stage, if you're sending out email communications, SMS, push notifications, any of your omni-channel sort of approach, measure the effectiveness. So what type of behavior is that creating? Is that down to open rates, bounce rates? That's on a very, very basic level. And then take that right through the innovation curve, depending on where the individual mall operator is. Some pretty exciting things that we've seen from our more in the Middle Eastern side of our business, where we're running loyalty programs for retail franchise operations, where we're collecting more data. So data from the POS systems that are feeding into a central repository is that direct ROI on investment per channel and for the overall schemes. But I agree. I think it's wherever the client is along that journey, to have a business plan. What are the outcomes, the KPIs that are expected, and going up front in the beginning of the conversation with what should be expected makes that conversation a lot easier for your conversation with your chief finance officer, et cetera.
Thank you. There's still more questions appearing, so maybe with a short answer from your side. It's a funny one. I love to read it. How do the PropTechs overcome challenges of working with large companies that might not be as agile as them? Maybe first an answer from Philip and Mark, and then from the PropTechs.
Hey, Philip, this time you go first.
Yeah, I can start. No problem. Well, it's a good question. For us as a large company, sometimes it's the other way around. It's not so easy to work with, let's say, really startups. I think it has a good side and a bad side. The good side is all the guys, let's say, and girls, of course, are completely 100% motivated, right? So they are full of energy and they want to make things happen, and you can really rely that they would work the whole night to satisfy your needs as a company. That's the good thing. And the bad thing, as I see it, and I don't mean the PropTech companies that are sitting here in this table, let's say, but some others, they tend maybe to little, how do you say, to if you ask them what is possible and what not, a lot of them tend to say everything's possible. We can do everything. Don't worry. We can do this and we can do that. And to be honest, I love it if a partner or potential partner says, well, we can do this, but sorry for this request that you have, I don't have a solution. Maybe you can ask someone else. That's really honest. And at the end, you know, it comes out. So I think honesty is very important if I answer this question from company perspective.
Mike?
Nothing to add, or not a lot to add. Maybe just some advice or recommendation is, you know, as we discussed, physical retail will be all about, you know, ROI. Obviously, PropTech needs to support that. So I think if these PropTech companies are as agile as they claim to be, then there's good chances to always offer a pilot. Why not say, you know, we don't need to roll this out across, you know, all of your centers, all of the business. We'll start small. We show you the impact you can have. It is scalable. And then, you know, that's quite strong convincing evidence for the decision makers, the stakeholders in these companies to convince the rest of the organization.
Any add-ons from your side, Justin?
Sure. I mean, in a nutshell, patience. So working closely, obviously you build up a relationship with most of the larger property businesses. I think for other PropTech sort of starting up in early stage, it's about building those relationships, showing value, creating, so publishing articles and helping move the industry forward as a total. And like you said, Philip, it's not about short-term gains of potentially telling tall stories of what you could do and then not deliver. It's being much more realistic with what you can achieve, build up a reputation in the industry and with your clients. And then also to what Marcus mentioned earlier is partner. So for PropTechs to understand their core competency, build a solution around that's really dedicated to fulfill that need, and then integrate, use APIs to bring the best of these PropTech businesses in to best serve the industry.
Okay, as we are coming to an end, and unfortunately we cannot answer each and every question which has been appeared so far. We have 2 minutes to go, so it's just one last round for you guys. And please, what is your personal commendation or wish to the industry? What would you expect? Just 1 or 2 sentences for that. Peter, would you love to start? Your commendation, your wish to the industry.
Sorry,
your wishes and your commendations to the industry, and what would you love, or what would you expect in the near future?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, our priority is shopping centers globally, and we have that priority because we think they're gonna be super valuable for the future as well. And we believe it's all about the sort of convergence, real convergence between physical, digital, retail, and it's kind of being accelerated now. So my hope is that together we all sort of get this to the next level so that we see malls that truly have a high percentage of their revenue derived from digital. And as a benchmark, we typically like to say if consumers spend 20% of their retail spending online, an individual shopping center should have the same share of total sales or revenue from online as well, because as the online share grows, the non-online part will decline. So it's extremely important to have that balance right. And we definitely believe shopping centers have fantastic unique selling points up against e-commerce when it comes to home deliveries, pickups, returns. They can solve a lot of the challenges that e-commerce is suffering from today and which aren't profitable. The mall is actually the solution here.
Thanks so much. Marcus, your point of view, try to make it as short as possible.
Yes, yeah, I try. So as discussed, there's a huge demand now in the market for connecting digital and physical, and this is, I think I'm saying on behalf of all of the PropTechs here, that we need to deliver this more than ever now to help the industry prevail. And I think there's a lot more is yet to come, so we need to stay tuned in webinars like this.
Super, thanks for that. Justin, your point of view, your wishes and recommendations.
I think surely it's just being at the intersection of where consumers, retailers, and operators meet. So focusing on the customer, making sure that you understand who they are so that you can engage with them on a direct one-to-one basis. I think the biggest lesson learned over the last couple of years is without that, you can be at a huge loss. So I see that as being picked up and is really a driving force for the next year. Thank you for that. Mark, your statement?
My wish for PropTech would be, as I think stated in the beginning, really that it helps the retailers to improve the understanding of our guests across those 3 stages: before the visit, during the visit, and after the visit, to really drive incremental sales.
Thanks for that. Philip, my friend, you're the last one.
Very short: collaboration and partnership, but not only between operators and PropTech companies like we are here at this panel, but also retailers. I think they are like the missing piece of this triangle. We have to work together with the retailers. If not, I think it will be almost impossible to get impact.
Thanks for that. It's a fantastic last word, because there should be someone who pays the bill on the one hand in that case, and retailers play a very, very important role on it. So let's keep them very dry and safe. Thank you for that discussion. Time is over. We are 2 minutes above. Hopefully, Reinhard is not cheating on me. Reinhard, are you back in town? Because the last words are yours as the host and facilitator.
Yeah, my task is to close this great session. Many thanks. It was extremely exciting. It was informative. It was entertaining. Thank you, gentlemen. Maybe we have done a small contribution with this talk to understand and dealing with the current very challenging time and to show useful aspects. Maybe we could do a little bit. As mentioned at the beginning, we will send a summary of this talk in the next days with our newsletter. We will make a short video and also a text summary. Many thanks to the panelists, and many thanks to all of our audience for watching. Yes, greetings from Vienna. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.